Namaskaram to all of you. So it's my great privilege to introduce the speaker of the day. Not me. He's just sitting. He has accompanied the speaker from Mysore. He will not speak anything. So today's speaker, Sri Vishwanath M V. He is a very famous Indic scholar. So from Mysore. He is being associated with Aham Brahmasmi channel that most of you might be knowing, which is an affiliated organization of Sri Sringeri Sharada Pitam, Karnataka. So he has been associated with that channel. Now he has been a vocal proponent of Vedanta inside the country, and even he has been sent outside from the Sri Matham itself for multiple events in propagation of Vedanta. Now he has a lot of feathers to his cap. Now he did his PhD from Banaras Hindu University, and he has learned his traditional Veda Dhyana from Sri Maharaja Samskruta Sahitya, Mysore. And then he has studied Alankara Shastra in detail, even all the Shadakas, including all the Dhakas, he has the knowledge of them. So now coming to today's topic. Now today's topic is how was the lifestyle of Indians during the time of Sahitya era, okay, or how is it being depicted in the Sahitya? See, what has happened is there has been a discontinuity in the tradition, to be specifically in the lifestyle. So the lifestyle has been changed over the span of time because a lot of things. So the aim of today's talk is to see to it that now we get an understanding of how was the lifestyle of Indians a couple of centuries ago. Now the question is, what is the evidence for it? Now is it Kapala Kalpana? No. What happens is, for example, I will give you a very big example. I hope all of you know Harry Potter. So whenever you read Harry Potter, even though it is a fictitious story, now what happens is, in the Harry Potter, there is a Muggle world. Now in which we understand how is the lifestyle of the people there. Now any Sahitya for that matter is a product of its kind. So we will always be having some of the indications of the lifestyle which is there. And then one of the major sources is the Dharma Shastras which are there, which specifically describes about the lifestyle, which is a theory, and then what has been recorded in the Sahityas, which is the how was it being practiced during the time in which these Sahityas were formed. So now so we are starting at 6:30 now. Now initially for some half an hour, sir will give the outline, and then post that we have already collected a couple of questions from the students, and then it will be an interactive session. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have, so that at least when you go after this talk, you will be having a basic idea of this was the lifestyle that was there, and what is the lifestyle that we are doing. And then you can do a comparative study, and then you can implement whatever to your whims and fancies. So with this, I will hand over the session to Vishwanath sir. Namaste sir. Thank you.
Satchidanandharupaya Vindunadam Padatmane Adimadhyantashunyaya Gurunam Gurave Namaha. Namaste Chidachitvarga Samrakshana Vichakshane. Namaste Chidachitvarga Samrakshana Vichakshane Jagadvidhama Shilpinane Vishnuchaknyai Namostute. Karakamala Nidarshitaatmaputraha Parikavitonnatadardiparachutraha Itarakarakrita Vetraputraha Mama Hradi Sannidhimata Shukrihi Omkara Panjarashuti Upanishadudyanake Kalakanthi Agama Vipinamayuri Aryam Antarvibhavaye Gauri. Namaskaram to everybody. So I don't know how to start this, but I'll tell you how exactly I'm feeling, and especially the structure that was explained by Chandra publicly, viciously, brutally at times. Sometimes the crowd is good, sometimes it's not. And for me, I thought that let me start with a quote from Abhijnana Shakuntalam. In the beginning of Abhijnana Shakuntalam, Kalidasa, the great maestro, the one who doesn't require any introduction. He himself had established as the greatest ever, and there was nothing else that he needed to prove. He was such a stalwart in his field by that time. They say, if anybody asks you this question, what is the masterpiece of Kalidasa? They will always point fingers at Abhijnana Shakuntalam. Right? And in the beginning of Abhijnana Shakuntalam, he mentions a great line, which is a staunch reminder for all of us. He says that Balavadapi Shikshikana Atman Yapratyayam Chetaha Aparitoshad Vidusham Na Sadhamanya Prayoga Vijnana. He talks about the Prayoga Vijnana. Now, what better place to talk about Prayoga Vijnana? Whatever is the type of Prayoga Vijnana, it doesn't matter. So, until when will you not be kind of established as a master in that Prayoga Vijnana? He answers that as long as aparitosha, as long as you have not got the certificate from the Parishad, that too, what sort of Parishad? Vidusham Parishad. Each and every one of you present here, you are fabulous scholars. So, in front of you, if I am able to speak, if I am able to present, then my Prayoga Vijnana will be tested. Oh, I am only talking about myself here, not yet into the topic. Because it's a very harsh, heavy load that I have been carrying. I haven't let him know what sort of baggage I am carrying. It's a very heavy one. To step into the hallowed streets of Indian Institute of Sciences, to be able to stand in front of, or at least comfortably sit in front of scholars and speak about lifestyle. Lifestyle that is almost hidden in the history books nowadays, which is not anymore practical or almost seems like impractical. So to talk about that, it definitely requires a certain skill, certain level of skill related to Prayoga Vijnana. So, Aparitosha Vidusham Na Sadhamanya Prayoga Vijnana, because Balavada Vishikshitanam, it doesn't matter how good you are trained, but Balavada Vishikshitanam Atmani Apratyayam Cheta. So, within oneself, we will always feel that emptiness. We haven't got the certificate from those who matter. Therefore, here I am in front of you. You will get your opportunity to shoot at me. Before that, let me place myself as a target. Okay. Just because we talked about target, and if you have to shoot, you have seen how the target looks like. It looks like a circle, isn't it? Bharatiya Jivana Shaili is just a circle. Basically, if we have to understand the whole idea of how exactly the life was envisioned by our rishis, it was very simple. If you have to put it in a geometrical figure, it will always be a circle. You cannot get a better geometrical figure that would explain, that would describe, that would give us a description of life. When you draw a circle, I am not going to describe what is the definition of a circle. I am not even qualified to explain all those things. But if, for a layman, if you have to explain what a circle is, how will you explain a circle for a layman? It's a very simple thing. You start from the same point and end at the same point. If you end at any other given point, it will not be called as a circle. It can be a different geometrical figure. That's a completely different story. But until and unless it ends at the same point, it never is called as a circle. And there is no difference between a circle and a full circle. A circle is, by definition, it is always full. If it ends anywhere else, it cannot be called as a circle. It is not a vritta. So vritta always means full. So that is the whole definition, that is the idea of the definition of life as presented in the Sahitya, in our Shastras as well. This is the reason why When you take a look at the Amarakosha, the lexicon, you will find a simple word that explains what Jivana is. The word used for Jivana is Vritta. Vrittir Vartana Jivane. So the word Vritti, Vartana, Vritta, Jivana, they are all synonyms. The word Vritta also has got the meaning called a circle. So life essentially is a circle. It starts at a point and ends at the same point. It's not a straight line, but it is basically a circle. Now obviously the next question is, what is the beginning? So if we understand, either the question should be, where should it end, or where it has begun. The answer for both of them is one and the same. If we take a look at the life in such a way. So keeping all these things in mind, when we observe how our Sahitya has functioned, many a times we hear that Sahitya or literature is something that is taken for granted. It is kind of the external thing, the audacity that the other fields of expertise carries, the weightage the other fields of expertise carries, is not usually expected in literature. Because people think that literature is something that one can do at their leisure. सब कुछ हो गया, उसके बाद जब समय मिले तब कुछ लिख लेंगे. I'm sorry to disagree with such kind of thought, because that is not exactly how literature is born, or that's not exactly how literature is viewed in our Shastras. You must have heard about Abhinavagupta, famous Kashmir scholar. He is the powerhouse of Indian literature, because he not only has written outstanding commentaries on the monumental works of Indian literature, most notably Abhinavabharati. If you have not heard the word of Abhinavabharati, let me give you a brief introduction to Abhinavabharati, one-line introduction. Abhinavabharati is the last commendable commentary written by any scholar on Bharata's Natya Shastra. After him, there are plenty of commentaries written. I am not going to say any word apart from that, that's why I use the word commendable commentary. He defines or he redefines the theories presented in Bharata's Natya Shastra. Such a profound scholar, Abhinavagupta, and his contributions to Sahitya is immense. Even though he is also popularly called as Mahamandaleshwara, and he was into Kashmir Shaivism as well. He is the greatest Acharya of Kashmir Shaivism as well. But his position in Sahitya is also undisturbed, undisputed. Now, we observe that how his guru was called as Bhattatanta. Bhattatanta mentions a very unique theory. He says that who is eligible to write a poetry or write poems in the first place, or who can write a poem in the first place. He says that na anrushi kurute kavyam. He who is not a rishi cannot write a kavya. Na anrushi kurute kavyam. It is somewhat similar to Kautilya's line, na Vishnu prithivipatihi, avishnu prithivipatihi na. He who is not a Vishnu cannot be a king. He who is not a rishi cannot be a poet. And the Upanishads also substantiate this when they say that Kavim Puranam Anushasita. Kavi means Brahma. Kavi means Srishtikarta. So then obviously the question raises that who is a Kavi? Because we are going to talk about Bharatiya lifestyle in the Kavyas. So we have to establish the credibility of Kavya first. And then we can discuss what sort of lifestyle has been described there. Otherwise, all it takes is one line. It's all Kavikalpika. It's all their imagination. A Kavi's imagination does not hold good. It does not carry that kind of weightage. It's not merely the words of imagination that the Kavis bring, because, as we said, it is Krantadarshi. What Kavi is. Who is a Kavi? Is it Kavi Krantadarshi? Darshi means who has the darshan, who has the ability to view. View what? Krantadarshi. He who has the ability to see beyond. That's all the meaning for that line, Krantadarshi. So when we say that he has the ability to see beyond, see beyond what is the question. So to see beyond, to witness beyond what appears or what meets the five sense organs, that is a poet. He is a poet. He who has the ability to view things or understand things, envision things that is beyond what meets our sense organs. So there are many things that we can experience with our sense organs. You don't need a poet to describe it. Oh, this is a beautiful color, this is a beautiful point. He is not part as a poet, I'm sorry. That's not the definition of a poet. He who has the ability to see something that is beyond the Panchendriyas and the ability to bring them and explain them, describe them, Varna Vistarana. Kavru, the word Kavi has emerged from the Dhatu called as Kavru. Kavru, the meaning of that Dhatu is Kavru Varanane. What is the meaning of the word Varanam? Varanam is Vistar, Varna Vistar. So if you have to see the extension, the expansion of the entire Srishti, then you need to know the truth. If you don't know the seed, you cannot probably go and explain what a tree looks like, what a magnificent the tree is, if you don't know what the seed is. A Kavi is the one who sees the seed even when the seed is not visible to the naked eye, because it does not meet the naked eye, but he knows the seed exists. When we take a look at the mango tree, we see it as a mango tree. That's our limitation. And not you, common people. So we see mango tree as mango tree. Scientists see mango tree in a very different way. I don't have to explain how they see it. It belongs to a certain family, that is, etc., etc. But who has the complete vision of a tree? Neither one of us, neither one of us have the complete vision of the tree. A farmer has the complete vision of a mango tree, because he sees the vision of the entire mango tree from seed to seed. Because the mango tree begins as a seed, he has seen that, and he knows where it is going to end. It's not going to end merely in the fruit. Within that fruit, you will again see the seed. So he sees that completion, that completeness. That is the vision of a farmer. So similarly, he who has the vision of life, a complete life, can become a poet, because a poet is essentially a rishi. This line is kind of an endangered line, and also a dangerous line if it gets handed over to certain people, because we have this habit of using these fabulous lines mindlessly at times. We heard a line, we heard a point from someone, we are awestruck by that point, and we say, he is a rishi. No, sorry. That's not how rishitvam is calculated. One poem is not going to establish somebody as a rishi. Just because you liked it, you cannot call them as a rishi. There is a lot many things that goes. So this is where criticism comes in handy. The critics, par excellent critics, the likes of Upinava Guptapada, whom I mentioned. Then comes one more person, again from the sacred land of Kashmir, Anandavardhana. Anandavardhana's Dhanyaloka. If someone goes through that Dhanyaloka, then we understand how do you establish the credibility of a poet, how do you judge a poet, how do you dissect the work of poetry. And in that work, in his work, he mentions that how many poets are there in the entire world. There is that Valmiki, Vyasa, Kalidasa Prabhatayaha, Dvitra Panchashapa, Mahakavaya. He names three and says, furthermore, there could be 2 to 3 of maximum 4 to 5 Mahakavis. That's all. I may not know the other Mahakavis, but these three I am very sure. Valmiki, Vyasa and Kalidasa. The rest of them, welcome to Bana Bhatta. You have heard about Bana Bhatta, I guess. The prose literature, the master of prose literature in Samskruta. So he said that it's all about Sahitya, right? So I'm just mentioning that I know a little bit of Sahitya by quoting all these poets. You should also trust my credibility now. Afterwards, you are supposed to ask questions. So I'm establishing that I know so many things, so that you can believe that this fellow can answer our questions. So it works both ways, right? So Bana Bhatta in the beginning of Harsha Charita, he mentions a very fantastic shloka which holds true, which holds the relevance even to this day. Santishvana iva sankhya jati bhajo hridayavete. He says that there are many poets who will be called as poets, not exactly poets. There are many who claim the name of a poet in every household. शादी हो रही है, संगीत में कुछ शेरो शायरी हो जाती है, 4 लाइन क्या बोल दिए वो भी शायर हो जाते हैं. So Vana had foreseen these kind of things. So he says that Santi Shvana iva asankhya, you cannot count them. How are they? What is the analogy? He says that Shvana iva, you know what Shvana is, right? That's a plural, by the way. Shvana, Shvano, Shvana, no. Shva, Shvanu, Shvana. Okay. So I have established that I know Sanskrit of Latin. So Shvana, he says that like dogs. You know what is happening, right? Supreme Court order. Thank you. Relevance. So at least he's not a fellow who will speak about only old things, new things of stray dogs. Just like stray dogs. Santi Shvana iva asankhya jati bhaja grihe. And then he says, Utpadakaha nabhava. But a poet who truly has the ability to bring the thing or explain, describe the life in such a full circle, they are not many. So, to what animal you can compare them? Because once you have compared the number of people who claim to be poets to dogs, now you have to compare those who are genuine to a certain animal, right? What is that animal? Utpadaka Nabhava Kavaya Sharabha. Have you heard about Sharabha? It was an 8-legged animal. I don't know the credibility of all these things, and I'm not a biologist or anything. So I will leave that part to you. You search, you research, you do whatever you want. But the animal has been described even in Meghaduta. He explains an animal named as Sharabha, which has 8 legs and which is very, very ferocious to a generation that believes that a lady who walks into fire can give birth to 3 dragons. I don't think Sharabha should be any difficult to fathom. It should be quite easy to at least imagine that there existed a prani and there existed something called as Sharabha. Okay, so Sharabha is like that. Utpadaka, the true poets are like Sharabha, very, very different. And Kalidasa is one such Utpadaka. Of course, no disrespect to other poets, but nobody matches the caliber of Kalidasa when it comes to describing what life is. Now, I heard that most of you are in the study group, you are studying Raghuvamsha. So there are each and every single work of Kalidasa is phenomenal. There is no doubt about it. The popular opinion is Shakuntalam is his masterpiece, but personally, I do not adhere with that particular thought. I think Kalidasa's greatest work is Kumarasambhava. Not even Raghuvamsha, none of the other works, but Kumarasambhava. But anyway, on Kumarasambhava we will talk some other time. But in Raghuvamsha, he mentions life in a nutshell, how exactly life should be. Shaishave Bhyasta Vidyana. Okay. Whatever Vidya has to be gained, it has to be gained at a young age. Shaishava. And then Yauvane Vishayeshina. So that Isha should be there, that Ichha should be there. That Ichha, the word Ichha comes from the Dhatu, Vishayesha. The same word you will hear in Upanishads called as Ishana, Vittaishana, Uttaishana. That is the word used in Upanishad, and he has put that word here, calling it as Vishayeshana. Then Yauvane Vishayeshana. Now this Vishayesha or Vishayecha, our desire to interact with the products, with the things, with the nature for our consumption. Anything and everything that we interact is a matter of consumption for us. Consumption not only happens like this, consumption happens through all our indriyas. So all that is subject for our consumption will happen during that Yauvana. But it is not going to be mindless because you already have a firm foundation of Abhyasta Vidyana in the Shaishava. See, Shaishava Abhyasta Vidyana, they get eligibility to Vishayeshana in the Yauvana. So those who have not got the proper Vidya in the Shaishava, they will not be able to understand how exactly they have to without saying all these words, he explained brahmacharya and he said Shaishava Vyasthavidyanam, that is brahmacharya. Yogalayam Shaishvanam is garhastya. Vardhake Munivrittinam is vanaprastha. And Yoginam Tetanam, that is basically the sannyasa. This is the krama sannyasa, the 4 ashrams that have been mentioned. When we talk about lifestyle or Jivana Paddhati, especially Bharatiya Jivana Paddhati, I was just trying to, at 5 minutes, I was just trying to establish what exactly Bharata or Bharatiya means. You probably will already know all these things, but just to keep one thing in mind, that Sahitya, we are notoriously famous for not speaking things straight. Yeah. And we are proud of it. Yeah. Why should we not be proud of that? If everything were to be told directly, I'm sorry to say, but it would be as bland as okay, no, as history books maybe. Just a list of facts. There should be something. There should be a twist. There should be a way of saying it. And Sahitya knows how to say those things. Therefore, you will definitely not find the words being spoken in a direct sense in proper Sahitya. In any proper Bharatiya Sahitya, you will not find it, but you will have to search for it. You will have to find it. You will have to dig. You have to dive in order to find it. And that's exactly what we find. See, did he use the word ashrama in any of this? But you know that this reflects ashrama vyavastha. Or when we go to Valmiki, in the Pattabhishek Sarga, the last Sarga of Yuddhakanda, Dashavarsha Saraswani, Dashavarsha Shatanija, Ramo Rajyam Pasitva, Ramo Rajyam Akarayat. This is how Valmiki describes. How many years? Dashavarsha Saraswani, let us not get into that kind of detail. But what is more interesting is the predecessor shlokas. He describes Ramaya Rajyam Prashasati, that is the last one. You can go and find what a beautiful description of the status of kingdom. We keep speaking about Rama Rajyam, and all those things. Somebody has built an empire on that. Isn't it? Yeah. They have removed Jyam. They have removed Ja, they have kept only only Raj, Ram Raj.
Also,
that is Sahitya. A live demonstration of how Sahitya works. You have to make them work for that. Without saying the word. If I did not say, you would not have probably got it. Anyway. So, if someone has built an empire over that one word, and we have been sold for the past 75 years, we have been sold the idea of Ramarajam. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter, right, left, center, it doesn't matter. Whoever comes, they will always tell you that we are going to create Ramaraj. Incidentally, a few years ago, there was someone who was performing a big yaga, and they said that we are doing it for Loka Kalyana. Okay, fine, fantastic. So they came to me asking to do some editing, like for the Sankalpa. Okay, the Sankalpa was going to take 30 minutes. 30 minutes of Sankalpa for Loka Kalyana, some yaga they are doing. And in that Sankalpa, they had mentioned so many things. Okay, all controversial things. People should be able to roam around freely in the midnight. What sort of thing is that? You mean to say that you want to increase insomnia to everybody? If people have to roam around freely during the night, it means that they are not supposed to sleep. So indirectly, you are increasing insomnia in people. Is this Loka Kalyana or Loka Kantakam? You decide it. Okay. So we need to have an idea of what needs to be expressed. Many a times we mistake Sahitya and we abuse the freedom given in Sahitya. And there is something called as poetic freedom, where we can express, where we can say whatever way we may choose. And people for many years have abused that system. I agree that Mamata himself says, Niyati Krita Niyama Rahitam. This is how he describes a Kavivani. Kavivani is basically Niyati Krita Niyama Rahita. Okay. That doesn't mean that you can slightly modified. It did not mean that you have to compromise with the actual stuff. The content should never be compromised. Because Bhama, one of the forefathers of Samskruta Sahitya, he very clearly mentions that Karoti Kirtim Preetim Cha Sadhu Bhavya Shivam. Or come to Vishwanath M V. He was from Orissa. He was also a great Sahitya scholar. In his Sahitya Darpana he mentions Chaturvarga Phala Prapti Sukhad Upadhiyamapi Kavyadeva Jatastena Tatsvarupam Nigadyate. Chaturvarga Phala Prapti happens through Kavya. Therefore, we have to see Kavya not just from the angle of metaphors and similes and descriptions. It has got plenty more to add to its fellow. So one such example is what I just quoted, and another example is directly from Valmiki's Ramayana, where he describes Rame Rajyam Prashasati. He goes to a certain level where he says Ramo Ramo Ram iti prajanam abhavantatha Rama Bhutan Jagadabhutam. The entire world became Ramamaya. That's exactly how Rame Rajyam Prashasati. That cannot be misunderstood, that cannot be misinterpreted by saying that he was no less than a dictator. It can be interpreted that way as well, isn't it? Rama Bhutan Jagadabhut, everybody should say only Rama. It's a natural process, it's organic. It happened organically that they could not see anything else but Rama. That's how the poetry, that's how the lifestyle has to be. That each and every one, Svesve Karmani Nirata, Samsiddhim Labhate Arjuna, what Gita Acharya said, the same exact words Valmiki reiterates in that particular portion where he mentions that each and every, what is the job, what is the role, JD, of a king, of an administrator, of a governor, to put everybody into their track. Don't let them move away from any different, into another track. So that probably brings us to the second important element of Bharatiya Jeevan Paddhati, the Varna Vyavastha. If we do not have that Varna Vyavastha and Ashrama Vyavastha, if they don't work together, you can't possibly have a workable solution, a workable structure. If it has to be workable, then things have to work in a certain organized manner. It cannot be chaotic. It cannot remain chaotic. It has to be in an organized manner, and they have this organized structure, and that organized structure is what is called as Bharatiya Jeevan Paddhati. And at the core of this Bharatiya Jeevan Paddhati was the very meaning, was the very definition of the word Bharata. What does Bharata mean? Bha means the Paranjyoti, the Paramatma Jyoti is called as Bha. And those who always dwell in that Paranjyoti are called as Bharatas. We have this famous line that is from the Upanishad. All thanks to Swami Vivekananda for quoting the line from the Upanishad. Uttishtha, Jagrata, Prapya Varanyabodha. You know what is the next line in the same Upanishad? Uttishtha, Jagrata, Agnimichhatam Bharata. The Upanishad called us Bharata. It said that you are the descendants of those great rishis who dwelled, who lived in that Paranjyoti. And what you must be seeking is Agnimichhatam Bharata. No mincing of words here at all, unlike Sahitya, because this is Upanishad we are talking about. They don't come with all these kind of difficulties. They come straight at you. There are only three kinds of words available in the entire world. Kingly, friendly, lovely. Okay. The kingly words are the Vedas and the Upanishads. Dharmam Chara Satyam Vada means Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, that's all. Can I not do Dharma on Sunday? No. Weekend off. No. Satyam Vada, when somebody is in trouble, and if I have to tell a lie in order to save somebody, then it is acceptable. Who the hell told you all these kind of things? Nowhere Shastra says that it is okay to say a lie in order to protect someone. It's all headless chicken coming up with these kind of ideas. It is not at all told in any of the Shastras. Satyam Vada means Satyam Vada. There is no compromising on that part. That is kingly order. The kings usually don't take back their orders. It's not CA, you see. Oh, you know. So the next one is friendly. The friendly talks are all our Itihasas and Puranas. Our Puranas talk in such a way that they will only describe about a certain fellow. He also was like this. I had a friend. Okay. Back in IISc, I had a friend. He did so and so. Oh, Maria. This you will say when you go back to your hometown, to someone, and they will start thinking, oh, maybe that is true. Therefore, I should refrain from this, or maybe I should get into this. That is called as a friendly talk. That's how the Puranas work. That's why you see so many stories coming up from Puranas. Neither one of them are that strong in penetrating the Sukomala intellectual minds. The feeble minds like ours, it is not that easy to be penetrated with these two words. It's just like asking a kid, drink milk. No. Kingly words fail. Okay. See, the neighbor, that fellow, he drinks milk every day. That's why he bats so well. MS Dhoni, 7 liters of milk every day. 2 World Cups to talk about. So he said, okay, fine, maybe I have the same aspiration. Maybe I will consider drinking milk. But then, no, I don't have some ambitions of becoming MS Dhoni. No, I'm not going to drink milk. Immediately, mothers are brilliant in that matter. What they do is they take away the glass of milk, keep it in the kitchen, come back, sit on the balcony, call upon the child, come here, I'll tell you a story. Yes, I'm making up this story, look at you, you're all listening to it. Power of Sahitya, you see. Stories. They tell some story. No mention of milk in the beginning. In the middle of the story, the kid stands up, goes to the kitchen, takes a glass of milk, drinks completely. It has happened. Maybe you replace milk with upma. It will be one or the other product which the mothers have fed us by telling us stories, isn't it? That's what Sahitya does. That's what poetry does. It delivers the same exact content, but it just packages it in such a way. I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there is no compromise when it comes to content. Dharma, Artha, Moksha, Varnashrama Vyavastha, none of them are compromised ever in Bharatiya Sahitya. Because it is a Bharatiya Sahitya. Their focal point is fixed. My guru used to say that in order to succeed in life, all you want to do is fix your X. Okay, not EX for X. The algebraic X. The unknown. What is not known to me is myself. I don't know who I am. You just fixate on that. Everything else revolves around that. It's just like, in Kannada we have these 2 words, Gottu and Guri. Just because you have been in the land of Karnataka, the land of Kannada, so I thought that it is good enough. But also I have to show some pride. After all, this very land belongs to our Maharaja, isn't it? Mysore Maharaja. हम भी थोड़ा तेवर दिखा दे अपना. भाई रॉयल सिटी से आते हैं तो इतना तो बनता है. So the whole fact is that when we try to look the Sahitya in such a way, when it is all Gottu and Guri, there should be a Gottu. And if you have seen how they tie the cattle, they will always put a tomb kind of thing, a pillar kind of thing, a wooden stone kind of thing that will be erected in the center, and they tie the cow, they tie the cattle to that. You know what happens? It determines their boundary. The cattle cannot move beyond a certain boundary. Do they not have freedom? They have freedom, but to an extent. No. Why should you hold back? My life may lose. Leave it now. Go and try this in the remotest villages where it is closer to the forest area. Try and remove the rope that has been tied to the cattle. There will be a leopard who will be catching the catching the cattle and running away. Who will be at loss? We will be at loss. So if we do not have that kind of time to a certain goal, then our life will be absolutely useless and meaningless. That is the essence of life in a nutshell explained in our Sahitya. I think I have exceeded my time by 10 minutes. Extremely sorry for that. I become very greedy when I start speaking. So thank you very much for listening to me. Now you may shoot me.
First question, take the questions that we have obtained through Google form. So you can duck any question. So no problem if it is not appropriate.
So now you have given me the pitch report. How is it going to be? So how is the pitch?
So just go in the sequence. Whoever has filled first will ask that question. Now after that we will open the floor. So these are a couple of generic questions. I presume that at least some 10-15% of your questions some place in Europe, as some language like Latin, German, etc., shares similarities with Samskrita, and others say Samskrita is a language that was carried to Europe from India, hence causing a similarity. Which among the two is closer to accuracy?
Proper IISc question. Nanti konsep sudah started, top cek apa kita kita. Okay, wonderful. See, the premise for this question comes from the linguistic theory that the languages originate from a certain region and then they travel across. Okay. I'm not qualified enough to answer that particular question from a linguistic perspective. Okay. Making it very clear. I'm not capable enough to read that because I have never invested my time in reading those kind of theories because those theories bhata nahi hai humko. Isliye left it. Now, when we talk about Samskrita Bhasha, from the Bharatiya perspective, from the Rishi's perspective, what exactly is Samskrita Bhasha? That part I can definitely tell you. The language that we understand today as Samskrita, is that the only Samskrita that we know? Or what exactly is the meaning of word Samskrita? Is something that we all need to answer. Because it has got some similarity with the language used in the Vedas, not entire similarity, not complete similarity. There are many things that are different in our Laukika Samskrita when we compare it with the Vedika Samskrita. So therefore, it is very clear that the language that was spoken in a bygone era was completely different from what Samskrita has taken a shape today. Right? So what exactly is Samskrita? What is the meaning of the word Samskrita? You have to see. Any language, for that matter of fact, can be Samskrita. Samskrita is not a designated name for one language. Samskrita is an adjective that can be used for any language. People have misunderstood that. Any bhasha can be called as Samskrita bhasha. So where is the proof that this particular bhasha that we are talking about is called as Samskrita bhasha previously? It is called as Deva bhasha. Why? Because all these things related to, and by the way, there is a theory in Vyakarana. Probably I can present this kind of things in front of an intellectual crowd like you. Not everybody will be able to understand this. See, why is lion called as Simha? I am not deviating from the question. I still remember the question. I will come back to that question. Why is lion called as Simha? Any ideas? Or why is Kashyapa called as Kashyapa? You know about Kashyapa, right? Kashyapa was a Prajapati. Why is Kashyapa called as Kashyapa? Why is Simha called as Simha? You reverse the word, you will get the meaning. Right? Because it has got that pravritti, it has got that intention to kill, to hurt, to be violent towards something. That's why it became, that Himsa became Simha. This is not me cooking up some nonsensical theory. This exists. Pashyaka Kashyapo Bhut is the line taken from Vyakarana, Samskrita Vyakarana. Pashyaka became Kashyapa. Pashyaka means he who has the vision. So that Pashyaka became Kashyapa, just reversing the order. So similarly, when we come to Deva Bhasha, and we call this Bhasha, this particular Bhasha as Deva Bhasha. If you reverse that, it will be Veda Bhasha, right? So the Bhasha that was used to present Veda, it was recognized, that particular language, that particular dialect, the usage of words found in the Vedic corpus was called as Deva Bhasha. Right? But then, when we took a deeper look into that language, it gave us this insight that it has got a perfect refinement. It is so well refined, it is so well polished, that we started calling it as Samskrita Bhasha. Samskrita means refined. You see that Krita there, Krita is a past tense. Samyak Kritam. So Samyak refers to the refinement. That which is well refined is called as Samskrita. That which is well refined and is in continuous present tense is called as Samskriti. That which is an activity which leads us towards the refinement is called as Samskara. See, all three things belong to the same family. Samskara, Samskriti, Samskrita. So we don't don't have the same question towards those two things because we think that they belong to a different category. That is religion, this is science. Oh, no. We don't have such categorizations here. All of that are integrated. So when we take a look at this, Samskrita Bhasha itself is called as a refined thing. So if I speak a Bhasha, a language which is more refined in nature, Bahu Vyahartanena Akinchit Apabhashitam. Now we have this line taken from Ramayana. I heard that you all have studied, most of you have studied Ramayana for several, for 1.5 years you have studied. So this line appears there. First time when Hanuman and Rama interacted, Rama was flabbergasted by the way Hanuman spoke. Right? Then he says that, look at him, look at the way he spoke the words. There was not a single error that you can find when he spoke. You have made a record, you play that back, you will find 100 errors in every sentence. Not just me, anybody who talks. English professors make silly mistakes in English language while speaking. That goes on to show how difficult it is to master a language because there is no samskara there. When there is no samskara, when there is no refinement, refinement should be here, no? When there is refinement here, then the way we articulate it, the way we present it will also be Samskrita. It will also be refined. When there is no refinement, the process of refinement happening here, then the Bhasha cannot be refined. So Kannada can be Samskrita. English can be Samskrita. German can be Samskrita. As long as it delivers what is the role of Bhasha. The role of Bhasha is that it should possess the capability to present things that we have in our mind. So as long as it does that, it is Samskrita Bhasha. Okay. I hope this is not definitely the answer for the question that was asked. Because both these theories, whether Samskrita came from that land to this land or did Samskrita travel from here to there, it doesn't matter. As long as it is refined, it is Sanskrit. Wherever it is Sanskrit.
There is another related question. Which language is older, Samskrita, Tamil or Telugu? I think you know Telugu. Samskrita and Tamil is the other.
Bhasha is older. Bhasha is older. That's it. And Samskrita Bhasha is older. A Bhasha that is well refined is obviously older. No offense to any name that we have given. Even that Bhasha, see, there might be, is there anybody who is a native Telugu speaker? Okay, great. And, oh yeah, fantastic. Now, you go through any Tyagaraja Kriti. Will you be able to understand each and every word? Thank you. That's it. So what does it show? It shows that Tyagaraja Swami's Bhasha was a refined Bhasha, was a Samskrita Bhasha. Now we have further, kind of diluted the Bhasha. It has happened in all languages. Has it not happened in Kannada? There are many words. Paduvana, nobody knows what Paduvana is. You go and say Paduvana in front of any shops here, they will not know. They will not, what is Paduvana? They don't know. The native Kannada speakers don't know what Paduvana means. Right? So it has happened. Every language has undergone dilution. So the language that has withheld its previous samskara, refinement, is the older language, or the oldest language.
The next question is, were there sex workers in Samskrita? Samskrita, yeah. What they mean is, were there sex workers in the ancient Indian time? Maybe that is what.
Yeah, there were. The famous Mritchakatikam. You have heard the famous play Mritchakatikam. You must have also seen the play Mritchakatikam. Vasanta Sena was a prostitute, was a Vaishya. We have added so many notions about we have made it a taboo to use the word. Oh, prostitute, oh, what is this? Wearing punjabi and all these things he's saying. What? You call spade a spade, that's all. We have used that and we have taken the meaning and we have given a different outlook to it. That doesn't mean that you have to find the same word present in the same outlook illogical or irregular about it. There was nothing that was considered as a social taboo or anything. It was very much there. Otherwise, in Sahitya we have, in Samskruta Sahitya we have plenty of such words which describe the Koti, Hindi में Koti की जो संस्कृति है. So we have such kind of works which are written not in Samskrita Bhasha but written in Prakrita Bhasha. But they all have the Samskrita chaya in them. So they do exist. So they had a certain role, they had a specific role, and they were all respected. It's not like the way we have understood that in today's world. And the word Vaishya also appears in Veda, just to intrigue your minds. Saraswati Suttam of Rigveda, Sakhya, Vaishya, that's how the rivers are going to be. Oh my God, nothing. You go and read Sayana Bhashyam, then you will understand what exactly the meaning of the word Vaishya means in that line. As long as we keep reading Wilson and son of so many, we're not going to get it. Our problem is we never read the original sources, primary sources. We always prefer secondary sources. Secondary sources are second class. That is why they are called as secondary sources. Primary sources are primary sources for a reason. So when we read the Veda Mantra, we get to know what exactly the word means in that context. So yes, to answer the question directly, yes, they did exist, such kind of things.
So next question is, why do I feel calm whenever I listen to some Samskrita chanting? Why do I feel calm? That's the question that
Is that a problem or? Just curious to know, is that a problem? I don't want to be calm.
What might be the reason? Is there any specific reason behind it? Might be the intention.
Because it is well refined and it comes from specific areas. The origin of letters. We have this entire structure of how each and every single syllable originates, and you cannot pronounce it improperly. You cannot mix match the pronunciation. Sankara Suvana Kesari Nandan chalta hai. Sanskrit mein nahi. I respect Sankara Suvana Kesari Nandan, but in Samskrita, while reading Samskrita, if you say Sankara instead of Shankara, it gives a different meaning. You want to add your own tadka, you add it to your language. Don't bring your tadka to dal that we have prepared here in Sanskrit. This is different, that is different. Alright? So in local language it does work. But when it comes to Samskrita, it is said that each and every syllable, it has got certain matra. That's what our Shiksha Shastra says, phonetics says. Each and every letter has got a certain matra, the duration in which it has to be pronounced. And when things are done in that perfection, obviously it will have some soothing effect. Because you need to observe where is it emerging from. When we feel like speaking out, when our thoughts have become very profound, and I'm speaking the idealistic approach. It's not everyday event. When my thoughts get profound, I shall speak. We don't speak, we bark. We don't speak. If we have to speak, then it has to undergo a lot of process. The thought has to become very profound. When there are profound thoughts, then there comes a certain level where it attains that calmness. Because it is emerging from calmness, it will have that effect as well. From whatever effect you speak, it leads you to that kind of effect. It's just like a reflection. Speech is essentially a two-way path. It's not one way. If I speak and you don't understand, what is the use of my speaking? So speech always has to reach someone else. And if that speech is well refined, if it is Samskrita, it means that it has undergone the process. There is a three-way process which I just want to quickly highlight. There are three types of Samvada. We call this as Samvada theory in Samskruta Sahitya. Okay, so not the dialogue. Samvada does not mean dialogue. That's how it has become popular nowadays. Okay, but the true meaning of Samvada is similarity, not dialogue. Because when I and you keep talking, conversing, there are so many similarities that connect us. Therefore, we call this as Samvada too. But this is not originally called as Samvada, it is called as Sallapa. When we talk with one another. In entire Amarkosha you won't find the word Samvada. There is no word called as Samvada in the entire Amarkosha. Samvada originally means similarity, which is a technical term used in Samskruta Sahitya. So there are three levels of Samvada. The first one is called as Vastu Samvada. Second one is called as Prabandha Samvada. Third one is called as Hridaya Samvada. Okay. So the content, if it has not undergone this process of Hridaya Samvada, okay, if it is not Yortho Hridaya Samvadi Tasya Bhavo Rasodhamaha, is what Abhinavagupta says in his commentary on Dhvanyamrita. He says that the meaning which has undergone the process of Hridaya Samvada will only become capable enough to be the subject of our talk. If I have to talk something, if I have to speak something, then the subject that I want to speak must have undergone the process of Hridaya Samvada. Because it has undergone the process of Hridaya Samvada, and now you are articulating it, it will come through the Prabandha Samvada. And the way we articulate it, the way we organize our words, if they are well refined, then obviously it will carry the essence of the Hridaya Samvada, hence the calm effect. Waves, ECG, that, no, I'm sorry, I'm not selling all those things. Not because someone has prompted me to not speak such kind of things. No, not like that, definitely not like that. You may try and find such similarities as well, you may find such evidences as well. They say that, when a person is in samadhi, truly when a person is in samadhi, then there will be no breathing, no function in the body. Ajivitam no maranam vichitram. That's what Shankara Bhagavad said. How do you describe samadhi? He said vichitram. You can't describe it because the person is neither dead nor alive. And you can put all types of machine on a yogi. It doesn't matter to him because that person is not aware of what is happening in the machines. If the machine is able to catch hold of it, well done to your machines. But the yogi is not bothered by any of that. That's the whole idea. So if we want to understand from where the mantras came, basically, because the chanting has been used, the word chanting has been used. So I told you that if it has to be chanted, it has to be written in either in Vedas or in our Puranas, or it should be essentially in a refined manner. If it is written in a refined language, it means that the thought would have been well defined, it will be very profound, and you could have gone through a certain process. Because there are certain rules that cannot be bent. It is not free verse. Unlike our English language, not our, but unlike English language, we don't have free verses. How many ever lines, how many ever words you want to fit, you fit. Whether they sound right or not, just keep on saying things. There's a certain manner, there is something called as chandas, which is essentially Vedanta. So it all has come from, when we see the Vedas, we only see Vedas as an individual entity. We must stop doing that. Veda is not an individual entity. Veda always comes with Vedanta. It's like studying anatomy, not knowing about heart. Does it make any sense? You have studied anatomy, but I don't know anything. I have studied anatomy, I don't know anything about heart. But the rest of the things I know. So if you have studied Veda, then you should know about the Vedantas as well, right? Sango Pango Veda. You cannot have Nirango Veda. Only mantras, because the Veda mantras or any of these Samskrita shlokas for that matter of fact, they are equipped with these sharangas. There is phonetics involved in it, there is chandas involved in it, there is Nirutta, there is Kalpa, there is Jyotisha, what is this? Vyakarana. So all 6 angas are well equipped. Because it is so well equipped, obviously it will have the same effect. Did it answer or did I just send you a kite? Okay. And send you a kite, by the way, is it's basically a Kannada expression. Pataharsa.
Let's go to the next question. Could you please highlight the existence of caste system beyond Manu Samhita? How it was implemented in the kingdoms which existed? What was the division of labor? We will. So I'll spill out the whole thing.
First question is.
Could you please highlight the existence of caste system beyond Manu Samhita?
Purusha Sutta.
So how about
Brahmano Sukha Bahurajanyakratah, Guru Tadasya Jatvaishya, Tadhyam Shudro Ajay. By the way, they are not talking about 4 different people. 4 different Purushas, okay? Brahmanasya Mukhamasita, Bahurajanyakratah, Guru Tadasya Jatvaishya, Tadhyam Shudro Ajay. Do you think that's how the way they are described? It is what they are talking about one Purusha. No, mistake is that Purusha Sutta, I have also read Purusha Sutta, you know. Sahasrashirsha Purusha, 1,000-headed Purusha. कितने आदमी थे? Finished it? Nail it down. So when people ask, कितने लोग जमा हुए थे? 20 या 25 या 20 plus 25 या 20 minus 25. But we do understand these kind of words. No? We don't have any qualms, any quirkiness related to these kind of statements. But when Veda says Sahasrashirsha Purusha, no, I think it is the 1,000-headed man. That's how the English translators have ruined it. And when we read the English translation, it feels like, oh yes, our God has 1,000 faces. So the so-called caste system, first and foremost, it is not called as caste system. It is Varna. Varna is different, caste is different. It's unfortunate that the actual meaning of Varna has been given up, has been eliminated, and only the word Varna has been cast upon the word caste. Sahitya. That we have to eliminate. And the Varna Vyavastha did exist in the Vedas. Purusha Sutta is a famous example, fine example for that. Right, next.
The next question is, how it was implemented in the kingdoms which existed? What was the division of labor?
That's a good question. So, I want to ask a counter question to that. What do you think is the division of labor in body? There is a division of labor in body as well, right? So what my hands can do proficiently, my legs can't proficiently. Yeah, we have to add that. Refinement. Otherwise, other people will argue. I know an artist who can draw pictures from film. It's not every day. Right? So proficiency, if we talk about proficiency, if we have to talk about division of labor, then we have to talk about proficiency as well. Right? So depending upon the proficiency, then certain labor are classified, are distributed. The head thinks, it cannot walk, it cannot defend. Don't say this to footballers, but yeah. It cannot possibly defend. Right? So similarly, just like how the division of labor exists in our Sharira, the same has been replicated and magnified in Samaj, in society. Because when you don't replicate the original idea, the natural idea existing in yourself, you don't have to look elsewhere. Do not believe because it is written in some bloody book. Yeah, and I'm saying it out loud. Do not believe just because it is written in some book. Do you have a body or not? Do you know your Anga Vibhaga or not? You have your head, you have your arms, you have your thighs, you have your feet, and you know what organ does what. If I take this and throw at a subsequent speed towards, say for example, him, so what will be your initial reaction? You don't start calculating mass, speed, that, this. You duck, right? When you put up your hand when something is coming at you, isn't that the natural reaction? I don't know what has IISc made you, but too much of sciences. Don't lose humanity. Read humanities. You will laugh a little. Throw a water bottle at you. You start counting speed, mass, velocity. Nobody does that. If something is coming directly at me, I would like to duck. I would like to protect. Protect what? Your head, right? Isn't it discrimination. You say this discrimination, I will agree with you. I'll stand there with you and say that the Varna Vyavastha is also discrimination. You think this is discrimination when something is thrown at you, you try to protect your head. Because the arms are meant for protection. That's what Kshatriya does. What is the meaning of the word Kshatriya? Kshata trayate iti Kshatriya. Kshata to what? Kshata means hurt, damage. Damage to what? If you lose your feet, that doesn't mean that you have to eliminate the last Varna. Okay, I'm not suggesting that. But even if something hurts here, who feels the pain? You tell me. Come, let me take a needle and poke your little finger in your feet and tell me where do you feel the hurt? What hurts? Where do you feel that true hurt? It's not there. It's here, right? Is it not interconnected? My hand is broken, my feet is broken, my stomach is not working well. You are sensing all of this here. The processing is here. There is such a harmony that exists in the body. And when they replicated that and magnified it in a samaja, oh, we have a problem. Think about it. I know that over the long course of time, the system has been abused. The system never gets corrupt by itself. You remember that last season of Game of Thrones where Jon Snow, right? Jon Snow makes a statement: when enough people stop saying truth, the world will start believing the lie. Somewhat similar, and I'm not able to recollect the exact line that he said, but it was somewhere around this. He constructed his statement somewhere around this, so that clearly explains that just because we try to, some people over a long course of time, if they have tried to mask this, if they have tried to kind of eliminate the truth and present it in a different way, it is not going to change the truth at all. The truth is going to remain the same. So the truth is the Varna Vyavastha exists here, not caste system. The Varna Vyavastha exists here. If you want to divide a samaja, then you implement caste system. When you introduce caste system, when you want to maintain harmony, when you want each and every person, irrespective of their race, gender, age, and the strata to which they belong in the society, when you want all human beings to attain the highest goal of their life, then you have a Varna Vyavastha. Nobody said that if you are in Tritiya Varna, if you are in Chaturtha Varna, you cannot attain moksha. We are all outcome oriented now. We all agree that we are all outcome oriented. We want to know whether we will reach the ultimate outcome or not. Does it matter if you take lane number 4, lane number 3, lane number 2, or lane number 1? We have seen an athletic ground, right? 100-meter relay race, the athletic ground. In what shape is the athletic ground? It's in an oval shape. So they make you stand one behind the other, not one besides the other. And isn't that discrimination? So why am I starting there? You are going to, it will be equidistance. I don't know if it is the right word to use in science or mathematics, but it's all the same distance because of shape, that controversy, and that is your headache to calculate. But the commoner, isn't that common sense that it's a level playing ground? Everybody reaches there. But if you change the name, what will happen in athletics? You're disqualified. That's it. So stick to your lane and things are fine. And that is what Varna Vyavastha is all about. It exists in the body. They have not looked elsewhere. All of these things are prepared, researched, and what is that next word? Published. Researched and published from the same lab, the human body. Each and everything. You don't have to go elsewhere. You have a doubt, you think that the words that are available is not making any sense, go to the lab. Test it out for yourself. Which lab? Not somebody else's. Your choice.
Was there representation from all classes in the kingdom?
Of cabinet secretary. Okay. Who do you think was the cabinet secretary for Suprema? No idea, right? It was Tara, a female, by the way. And don't start up with male chauvinism, anti-feminism. What anti-feminism? The original gangster of all darshanas, Samkhya. Samkhya is the OG of all darshanas. Do you know who gave the Upadesha of Samkhya to whom? It was Kapila Maharshi. Do you know to whom Samkhya Darshana was given? To his mother, Devabhuti. And here we are writing pages after pages, publishing it with venom, and women were sidelined. Where have they been sidelined? It's all bogus, it's all ridiculous, and nothing like that. So it's all there. So sorry, what was the system?
Yeah. So was there representation from all classes?
Yeah, there were representation from all classes and all genders.
Yeah. So also
All genders. Yeah, that captures only sound, or it touches.
No, it captures video also.
Oh my God.
Specifically in the light of fact that many Karnataka kings, such as Gangas, Nayaka dynasty, were not really Kshatriyas.
Correct.
So also in the light of the fact that there are a number of examples of caste line being not very rigid, so as to dampen or choke society. Example of Sudha Pradika being given so much of respect inside of he being the Sudha.
Yes.
Or even the case of Vidura for that.
Vyasa.
Vyasa.
Is he not worshipped by us? Vyasa Purnima is celebrated. Guru Purnima, by the way, is Vyasa Purnima. There is no differentiation in our mind when we take a look at Vyasa. We don't consider him, oh, he belongs to Chaturtha Varna, why should I worship? These are all little minds. So, nothing like that. And the kingship, when we talk about the kingship, I want to quote one line from Kaudilya's Arthashastra. It's a beautiful line. He says that Purusha Samarthya Karya Samarthya, not the other way around. Okay. What determines a good activity or a good system is good people. Purusha Samarthya Karya Samarthya. And what we are doing right now is we are trying to meddle with the system. And we are not, we are trying to fit people into system. You hire people and then you make a system. That's what football managers do, isn't it? What did Sir Alex Ferguson said? After they played a game against Real Madrid, he said, give me 1 Zinedine Zidane and 10 wooden blocks, I will win you a Champions League. 1 Zinedine Zidane and 10 wooden blocks, I will win you a Champions League. What does it show? Purusha Samarthya, isn't it? The ability of a person. And Vishwanath M V to Sahitya, by the way. Thank you. I have to speak about Sahitya as well, otherwise you will think this guy is speaking something else. He thought that you should speak strictly on Sahitya. Bhavabhuti says, Vishwanath M V. If you have good attributes, the attributes are respected. Gunishu, those who possess those attributes, Gunishu nacha lingam nacha vaya. The age is not a differentiating factor, the gender is not a differentiating factor, the class is not a differentiating factor. What is more important is whether they have that attribute or not. Rama was a Kshatriya, Guha was a Nishada. A boatman. Guha did not call Rama his best friend. Rama called Guha his best friend. There is difference. We can say that somebody is Modi ji is my best friend. You can say that. Modi ji. There's a huge difference when a person of Rama's stature, when he calls Nishada, who will generally be considered belonging to a lower caste, he called him his best friend. And the same thing, role reversal, Krishna and Kuchela or Sudama. The class was up and down. Okay. Krishna belonged to the lower strata, by the way, and Kuchela was upper class, as people call it. But were they not friends? So see, that is not the intention. So we have to understand that we are trying to look at something with the lens that we have procured from eBay. It's a second-hand lens. And when you try to view things from a second-hand lens, you know what happens to the quality of camera. So you better change the lens. You better bring A1 top-class lens. When you try to view it in that lens, I think things will be clearer.
The next question is, how is human psychology described in Indian texts?
Human psychology is a part of Samkhya Siddhanta. And if you want to dig a little deeper, people would say that Indian psychology is nothing but Yoga Shastra. Not entirely correct. Not entirely correct. But half of it is true. Yoga Shastra does talk about various features of human mind. Just because it talks about various features of human mind, it won't make it a psychology. I mean, it cannot be qualified as psychology. Because our rishis, their vision was not so short-sighted that they wanted to rest by describing various features of human mind. They wanted to know what lies beyond human mind. For crying out loud, a 7-year-old boy in our history was more interested to know what lies beyond death. Nachiketa is his name. But unfortunately, he is not as popular as Harry Potter. But Nachiketa did have the hunger, the appetite to know what lies beyond death. That goes on to show how people were trained, what sort of orientation they had. So, if we have the right orientation, then yes, of course. Did it answer the question? Or am I just deviating and saying fancy things?
It was.
Okay. Because I consider the wall very brilliant people. So, just throw some seeds in the field and it will pop. So, that's how I believe. Okay.
So how to keep children focused to their goals and protect them from other kids who are trying to trap them into bad lifestyle?
Okay.
Protect them from other kids who are trying to trap them into bad lifestyle.
Bad lifestyle. It's a very easy answer. You set an example.
Now I think we can remove the child and then how to
Don't remove the child. No removing the child. Thank God we are not in US. It's a huge law there. Removing the child. Right. The answer is very simple. You act. That's all. You set an example. Children will follow. So when we were coming from Mysore, we had a conversation. They were saying that garajane wale budhi baraste nahi hai. So हम खाली गरजते रहते हैं. गरजना भी गलत शब्द है. We don't just thunder. हम भावते रहते हैं. To be honest, we keep barking things. That's all. We don't do ourselves. We don't set an example. If we don't set an example, we can't expect the next generation to follow our footsteps. There are many examples that I can give for this, but one example which I think will be more convincing because it has got a fancy foreign name attached to it. Ricky Martin, you have heard about him, an Australia cricket legend. He was playing his last test match, I think at Hobart. And he was showing the same intensity that he had shown ever since his debut. And the groundsman once asked him, this is written in his autobiography, by the way. So the groundsman asked him that, why are you still, kind of giving so much of intense practice? And why do you have to show this kind of grit, determination, and why do you have to give so much, 100%? This is your last day, you can enjoy, you are already a legend of Australian cricket, it doesn't matter. I said, see, there are 20,000 people waiting in the stands. Maybe 19,500 people know me that I am a legend. There will be 500 people who will be young kids, who would have heard about my name, who would have been visiting, who would have come there to watch me play for the first time. And what kind of impression will they get if I take things like Racharati Shrestha. I can quote equal amount of examples from the Shastras as well. Okay, I don't want to bore you, that's why I'm balancing it out. Yadya Racharati Shrestha, Tattadeve Tarujana. Sayat Pramanam Kurte Lokastadanu Vartata. So the onus, the emphasis is on reacting, like how Rama did. Rama did not speak much. Rama acted. When he went through a lot of things, when he was subjected to so much of misery, so much of struggle, people would have succumbed to it. People would have given up. How many chances did he not get to come back, to return to Ayodhya? I keep asking this question, how easy it is for us to budge under pressure. We glorify people, we glorify our masters. His master was there, Vasishtha was there, and Vasishtha told Rama, it is okay bro, come back to Ayodhya. Did he not? You go through Ramayana, you have went through Ramayana, you know this. Did Vasishtha not tell Rama that it's okay to come back to Ayodhya? Did Rama go back to Ayodhya? That is called as setting an example. And when you set an example so strong, obviously people will follow. And we see that instance in Ramayana himself. Bharata and Shatrugna. Shatrugna is a photocopy of Lakshmana. Angry young man, part 2. He catches hold of Manthara, that vicious lady who was the reason behind all these things. Shatrugna catches hold of Manthara, drags her, holds a knife to her throat, and goes to Bharata and says that, say yes, cut her throat. Say yes and I'll cut her throat, because it is because of her that our entire family is destroyed right now. Another Game of Thrones situation, Red Wedding. Now what Bharata said? He did not reason him saying that, oh, this is not told in our Dharma Shastra, you should not kill a woman. Bharata did not say any of these things. If you remember the conversation correctly, I'll tell you what exactly Bharata said there. Bharata says, if we go ahead with this, Rama is not ever going to speak to us. If you want to threaten children, what is the best way to threaten children? You just remember your childhood. If your mother took away your toys, you will still find it. If your mother stopped talking to you, you are finished. You are dead. You are dead inside. You are fish out of water. Isn't it? That's the feeling, that's the connect, because Rama acted. He was a personification of Dharma. So he did what he needed to do, and when you do your activities, when you perform your Dharma, people around you will get adapted to you. As simple as that. So, what if people, the very reason that you are not active is why your children are getting affected, or why your children are so vulnerable that they are easily attracted by other theories and other scenarios. If you are strong enough, then nothing can break you. That is the family spirit. No, that's how we build culture. Why do you think famous clubs, they keep sacking their managers, bringing you in? Because they are idiots. Yeah, exactly, they are idiots. But you turn the football back at two decades back. Do you see people used to sack managers like this? No, one season sack. One season Chelsea, our team. There are 4 managers in one season. What the hell is that? You see, there is no culture. They don't know what exactly they want. So when the family, as an individual, not even family, as an individual, when I don't know what I want, and when I don't act accordingly, then obviously there will be free meal for everybody. Therefore, we need to stand strong, we need to put our feet down and say that this is my dharma and I am going to follow it. Bahar mein gaya duniya. You do your dharma, bro. That's all. Why do you have to worry what will people think? You don't have to.
Next question is, what lifestyle did the women of those days lead? What jobs did they work at? What was the status of any unmarried women, such as sannyasini, yogini, or divorcees or widow or single woman. And do we hear any LGBT people from the audience?
I've seen that welcome movie. It's a calm down. We already discussed. I gave you one fine example of what kind of roles did women play. And they were mainly used, they were mainly involved in statecraft. Tara, by the way, was a widow, isn't it? But she was a political advisor. She was the best advisor. You know, the dying words of Vali was to Sugriva, his advice was, listen to Tara. I was a foolish fellow. I did not listen to her, but you do. You listen to her. And you have to read Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then you will know the range in which different people are involved in statecraft. They call the king a 100-eyed man or a 1,000-eyed man. Sahasra Chakshu Nrupaha. He doesn't need to have 1,000 eyes. He can have his eyes deployed everywhere, just like CCTV. So he used to have people in every field. Informers. Who are the best informers? Have you seen the BBC series, Sherlock Holmes? First episode, 2 pills. And there is a question that Sherlock Holmes asks Watson, that who is that one person who goes unnoticed in the entire crowd? Cab driver. Nice, okay. So similarly, there are many such roles which requires that profound vision and the ability to extract information from people. Okay, and that is the role that women used to play. Read Malati Madhavan. Okay, in Malati Madhavan, the savior was a sannyasi. Sahitya for you. See how he has used the element from Arthashastra and deployed in a play. That's called as brilliance. So there are many such roles that women used to play. And it's just a very, what should I say, very boxed thought when people say that women were kind of made only, and they were meant only for kitchen. They were confined into kitchen. I don't think so. It was never the case. It never was the case. And you will never find women cooking in kitchen. This kind of scene I have at least not come across such kind of a scene in any of the Sanskrit literature. Have been looking. Nowhere it has been mentioned. Sa Pachamana Asi. No. It has not been mentioned. I mean, not explicitly. Once in a while, yes. You see, you read Abhijnana Shakuntala. What is Shakuntala doing? Plucking flowers, talking with her friends, taking care of the ashram. The entire ashrama's responsibility was vested on her shoulders when Kanva was away. Management. So, plenty of roles, not just only kitchen. Oh, an LGBTQ, I'm sorry, I don't want to answer. He said you can duck one question. I've done one question.
Any question.
Any question. I've done this question. Because it is on record. I don't trust these things. Especially with the event of AI, you never know. You put this somewhere, and this will pick something, this will add its own tadka to it. Discuss about LGBTQ some other time. It's all an agenda. You know, I know, we all know. We just don't want to admit it, that's all. And they would want to depict and take examples from our Shastras, from our Puranas. Say, for example, Shikhandi. Take, for example, Arjuna playing the role of Brihannada. They want to quote that example. What was the situation? What was the kind of situation that Arjuna was going through? And what made him to disguise himself as as Brihanda? Did he claim? Did he make it a big thing? Did he come out? Is my question. Who answered me? Did he come out? The whole idea of that Ajnatavasa was not to come out, bro. If you had come out, then Kauravas would have known you, they would have killed you. They would have sent you back to Vanavasa again for 14 years. The whole idea was not to come out. That's why he had put on a female's attire. And you are going to take this out of context. Oh, Arjuna had turned himself into. It's a fascination. Who has such kind of fascination apart from twisted minds? I'm sorry. So no such examples, unfortunately, are available. I have not done it. Okay, I have buried it. So there are no such examples available where people, where in Samskruta literature at least, it is explicitly told that such so and so exist. But yeah, there is something called as I want to answer this. This was all fun. Okay, honestly, it is not. I was really afraid. Now, after almost 90 minutes. Now we are moving extra time now. Now I have gained confidence that I think I have held you all to 0-0 draw. Now I am getting slowly some confidence, championship final kind of thing. I'm slowly getting confidence. So I dwell into Jyotisha. Right. In Jyotisha, there is Kliba Yoga. And there is something called as Napumsaka Yoga. Okay. That comes by birth. Not coming out of thing. Not that kind of thing. It comes by birth. And that can be identified. This is one thing. Secondly, when it comes to the interpretation of these Kliba Yoga, Anyonyam Yadivashyatasya Shirvi Yadvaki Somyo Tatha Prova Samgam Dinesham Samya Chandrodayo Tethithilo Shatkliba Yoga Smataha. There are 6 Kliba Yogas that have been mentioned in Jyotish. But while giving the interpretation part, commentators have very explicitly mentioned that the Kliba Yoga does not mean that person will act weirdly or they are kind of outcast from the society or any of that sort. And describe that there will be incompetence can be in any field, in any activity they do. It depends on various other things. Basically, Kliba Yoga is incompetence. Now, in order to attain Brahmajnana or in order to attain Samadhi, you need to be incompetent as well. In what way? That's strange, isn't it? We haven't thought about it. In what way should you be incompetent? Now, if you still keep yourself competent enough to interact with the world, will you ever be able to rise to that Samadhi, you tell me? So you have to attain that incompetence, at least in the context of Samaja, or at least in the context of Samsara, in order to attain Samadhi or Atmajnana. In that way, it can be a blessing in disguise. It all depends. So it's not like we don't acknowledge the presence of such kind of things, but we don't make a big fuss out of it. At least not in Samskruta Sahitya, as far as I am aware. Not exactly in these terms, LGBTQ++. No, not like that. Did it answer the question or? Okay. These are the questions.
Yeah, these are the questions. So I open the floor for questions. We have some 15 minutes.
So how can we study different other cultures from the IISc standpoint? Or how can we study modernity from the IISc?
I think it will be a reverse mistake that we will be committing if we want to take a look at IISc, if we want to take a look at other cultures from the lens of IISc. It is exactly what people have been trying to do, to take a look at IISc from different lenses. They have been using various lenses in order to see IISc except IISc lens. When we say Indian knowledge system, right? And what is the most ideal research paper topic for Indian knowledge system? Well, it is doing everything. Okay. Ek Rome, I oppose that. I'll tell you why. It's a very simple topic. Let us take, for example, something related to mind. We want to study something related to mind that exists in IISc. But what we will do is we will add neuroscience to it. Why? That is exactly what is the mistake that we are committing, because we we are looking at IKS, Indian knowledge streams, from a different lens. And when we do the same thing by taking IKS and view them, it will give us a distorted image. So it is advisable to avoid such kind of juxtaposition of two entirely different systems. So if we want clarity, then we have to see IKS from IKS lens and the different things, different branches with their lens. And then we can compare. And even in comparison, it should be depending upon the pramanas that we use, specifically for both the systems. You cannot have pramanas exchanged. So there is no room for Shabda Pramana in the modern sciences. So when we try to look at other cultures, for example, they don't have the concept of Veda. They don't have the concept of Purushartha. So when they do not have the concept of Purushartha, then how can we possibly take a look at them through IKS? It's not going to be possible, because possible in the sense it will not give us the complete picture of their system. If we want to understand their system, then we need to understand their fundamentals. Their fundamentals is to survive. Surviving is their fundamentality. What is our fundamentality? What is the fundamentals of IKS? Moksha. Ajagajanta, it's a huge difference that exists between those things. Therefore, it's advisable not to, it's better to avoid this kind of crisscross between IKS and other cultures, and trying to imbibe some good qualities from other cultures into IKS. Not needed. We are self-sufficient. Whether they are self-sufficient or not, it is not for us to decide. We will be good if we just take care of our part. If we are focused on what we need to do, sufficient. Does that answer the question?
I have a follow-up.
Please.
So if we say that, and if we are encountering different cultures who are trying to convert us, so how do we? That is one part of it. But another major point is science gives this objective viewpoint to everything, saying I am the observer, I am different from the subject, and we don't follow that viewpoint. We say subject object, there is a continuum between them. So how do we reconcile those both views?
Sorry, the subject object continuum in what sense? In IKS?
In IKS.
Subject object continuum.
As in we say in the higher echelons in Samadhi, subject and object resolve. So
Correct. So how many of us are in Samadhi?
none of us. But then how do we? Is there a difference between then IKS and what modern science says there is? But then how can we reconcile these differences? How do we understand the world basically?
Right. See, that's where Vedanta helps us a lot. Because Vedanta says that there are three types of Satya. The three types of perception of truth is of three types. One is Paramarthika Satya. The continuum that you taught is the Paramarthika Satya. Everything is one. Sarvam, Brahman, Sarvam, Vishwanath, that kind of thing. And then comes Pratibhasika Satya. Pratibhasika is, it only appears like that, eventually we know that it is not true. And then comes Vyavaharika Satya, the third one, where as long as we have not attained that state, but in this state it is still a reality for me. All these things are reality for me at this moment because I am not in Samadhi. So in this level when we talk, so everything is, and there is an observer, as you mentioned, there is an observer, there is a thing that needs to be observed, there is a process of observation, this is called as Triputi basically. So this Triputi exists in every aspect. So it will get broken only when that person is in Samadhi. Only when he is in Samadhi. It's not guaranteed that a person who has attained Samadhi will remain in Samadhi forever. It is also not going to happen. Because we need to understand that Samadhi is attainable only by using this vehicle. But this vehicle has got certain terms and conditions. We have signed some contract, and the contract demands us to go through the consequences of our previous karma. So the currents of karma are so strong that it will drag us back and say that you go through this. So the Samadhi, even if someone attains Samadhi, is not guaranteed that they will remain in Samadhi for 1 week. Very rarely you will find such kind of stories, such kind of examples, not even stories. For example, Chandrasekhar Bharati or Kanchi, very strong. There are only meditate for a long time. But for commoners, it's not that easy at all. So for us, the Vyavaharika Satya itself is taxing. So to understand or to even comprehend what it is to be in Paramarthika Satya is slightly difficult for us because we are not in that stage. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter, we can find the two examples or the two levels that Krishna talks about. One is Yoga Aruksha, another one is Yoga Arudha. So Aruksha and Arudha. Aruksha is he who still desires of climbing the steps towards Samadhi. So for him, there is an entire different structure he mentions. Karma Karana Uchyate. That is what the line says. Aruksha Mne Yogam Karma Karana Uchyate. But what about the Arudha? He who has already attained that Samadhi. That Shamah Karana Uchyate. Indriya Nigra. It goes on to show that he still has some responsibilities that he needs to cater. So did that answer the question? Yes.
As you've spoken about most of the topics with this, I want to ask about astrology. Astrology as a science, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
How was it? How was it relevant? How was it relevant in those days?
Jyotisha was a Vedanta. So it was definitely relevant to the Vedic era. When I say Vedic era, I mean wherever there is, in whichever era Veda is present, Jyotisha is also present. We can't have that in some point of time the Angas separated. They claim sovereignty. There is no sovereignty to claim. So Jyotisha is essentially a part of Veda, even if it is like. And how do we observe that Veda is very simple. And if we see the Jyotisha structure, what has happened is we have been given a distorted image of Jyotisha. We think that Jyotisha means prediction. That's where it has come and stopped, unfortunately. But Jyotisha comes with 3 different pillars: Siddhanta, Samhita, and Hora. So even the prediction part is untrue. That there is no such word called as prediction. It's an analytical report of the previous karma, if we have to talk about it. Okay. And whereas the Siddhanta, it's more about the Ganita, the mathematics, especially Graha Ganita. They say that Dashavedam Graha Ganita. There are 10 different things. The index of Siddhanta is of 10. There is Graha Ganita, there is Madhyamasthuta, and then Spashtaka, then Bhutchaya, and Triprashnatikara, Digdeshakalanaya. So there are so many things that are actually present in Siddhanta Bharata. They are very helpful in determining the time for the right activity. The right activities are determined by some other wing of Veda. But at what time should we do it? The time is inevitable. We may have all the best things available, but if I don't know when to use it, at what time is it right? It's like you have the best seeds available, but if you are going to cultivate it in peak monsoon, it is never going to work. The cultivators would know, the farmers would know when exactly to sow the seed. So the time is what Jyotisha contributes. That's why it is called as the eyes of the Vedas. So did that answer? This is how it is a science. I did not try to define science like how we understand science. That is up to you people to decide what is science. But when it comes to Vedas or when it comes to Bharatiya Darshanas, Jyotisha is a Vedanta. So if we are calling something as a Vedanta, it means that it has to be in orientation or in line with the Vedas. The Vedas have said that you have to do some few things. Nitya karma. How do you determine Suryodaya and Suryasthama? We knew that Surya is not moving. We know that. But for Vyavahara, you have to give something that is evidentially present, that is evidentially visible. So that is why you see that Aryabhata does mention that. In his Mahaganitam, he does mention that Surya is stagnant, heliocentric. We know that, but that is not how the things work. So they have used the existing facts and how we can use them to determine time. Basically, the most important job profile or job description of Jyotisha is determination of time, the right time. We have to understand when Graha corresponds to Veda and the Vedic system as a Vijnana. But if you meant Jyotisha as a science, as in modern science, I don't think. Then this is the way. Because Samhita is the most neglected part of Jyotisha. And nobody studies Samhita anymore. The meaning of the word Samhita is encyclopedia. You should know everything. Janapushti, Kshayavishti, Dvirada, Vashu, Turangana, Sakala Vastunam, Lakshanam, Samhita. This is how the definition of Samhita is. To know about everything. Nobody studies that. It's very difficult, and there are very less number of Samhita granthas. One authentic text that exists is Brihat Samhita of Varahagita. It has 36 chapters. Exhaustive work. You have got palmistry there, you have got Samudrika, Vrikshayurveda, geology, that, this, everything is put there. Kya padega banda? It's very difficult to go through Samhita for that matter of fact. But when we have the understanding of Samhita, then you will understand how Jyotisha used to help us to determine our weather forecast. That's essentially part of Jyotisha. You should be able to tell when exactly it is going to rain. You must have seen in Punjab, they would have written that in Kannada, rain. When will rains will fall on which nakshatra exactly? That's a calculation, it's not something they are saying. That's how Jyotisha contributes. Because there is a karma in Vedas told as Agrahayana. You must have come across that name, Agrahayana. Agrahayana is essentially done based on the Rutu. In what Rutu that Agrahayana karma has to be done. How do you determine Agrahayana? What is the concept of Rutu? How do you, when do you draw the line? See, now we say Varshatam. Basically, just a month ago, we were saying Grishma. It was raining cats and dogs. Isn't it? It was raining so heavily, but still calling us Grishma. Grishma is essentially meant for summer. Our summer is already over. We still say Grishma. No, what Grishma? Grishma has gone. It is Varshav. We still are saying Varshav. The Ganapati festival will come in Bhadrapada Masa. By the end of Bhadrapada Masa, by Pitru Paksha, it will already be Sharad Ritu there. We still will be saying Varshav, no Varsha there. So that part has not been addressed, unfortunately. There is no shame in admitting this because Bhaskara, you have heard about Bhaskara, right? Bhaskara very clearly mentions that every 300 years once you have to refine the entire system. The Grahaganita has to be refined. Unfortunately, that refinement has not been. That's where we lag. Maybe you people can pick it up.
So there is one question. So self-restraint Indian Graha is recommended by Bhagavan Krishna multiple times in Gita.
Yes.
Our Vedas, Vedangas like Ashtanga Yoga calls for Yama and Niyama. All emphasis, it's important. At the same time, it is extremely tough to have Indriya Graha all the time. My question is, how can we better integrate it into our lives?
It is already integrated. It is already integrated. We have this Vrata, Janmashtami, Ekadashi Vratam, Shivaratri Vratam. They are all Vratas. Whenever we have to perform a Vrata, you see how we use all these systems, how the Indriya Nigraha is integrated. The major Indriya Nigraha is you are not supposed to eat anything until the puja is done. One instance of Indriya Nigraha. You have sat down for puja and no matter even if your boss is calling 100 times, or say maybe your supervisor is calling 100 times, you are not supposed to get up and go there. That is a sort of Indriya Nigraha. You are not supposed to change the way you sit. Once you sit in one place, you have to continue sitting there. All things are kind of integrated into our system. And when it comes to bhojan, taking food, and we were talking about that coming as well. So when we take a look at our day-to-day routine as well, even the simplest of activities like bhojan, it has got so much of Indriya. Maunena bhavtavyam. They said that you should eat quietly. Do not speak while eating. I'm not going to say that when you eat and you speak, annanada or shwasanada, and they get mixed. What nonsense is that? Vairagya Siddhartha. What the hell is Vairagya? That's it. Our agenda has always been on the spot, bullseye, to the money. It is jnana, Atma Jnana is what we are seeking, and whatever Vairagya is required for that Atma Jnana, for in order to get that and consume the food. I mean, I just elevated the question. Whatever the question was just about Indriya Nigraha. Shoot Indriya Nigraha, we have already reached the place which we have not even thought about. We have said that each time we consume food not for building the body. We consume food for Jnana Vairagya Siddhartha. Look at the agenda, clarity. And then, in terms of Indriya Nigraha, why they said that you should not speak by eating. Because Kabade Kabade Govinda Smarana. It's a very popular saying. Like each time you take food, and I don't like this English word, but as in each bite, we don't bite our food. You mean bite? You don't bite the food. You take the food. There are better words to say. To say. Biting the food. Children bite each other. So they eat. Okay. So this is not biting, it's consumed. Each time you consume food, you do Govinda Smarana. If you are doing Govinda Smarana, then by the way, what is Govinda? We are Shaivites. What nonsense is that? Gaha Indriyani. Go means Indriyas. Go always doesn't belong to cow warriors. Ridiculous people, I tell you. These people, they have. Gavaha means Indriya, all our Indriyas. Vindate. Vindate means he who holds the control over all the Indriyas. Who holds the control over Indriyas? The mind. Manasaspati. In the Vedas, he is called as Manasaspati. In other words, he is also called as Hrishikesha. Hrishika means Vishayendriyas. Hrishikam, Vishayendriyam, Amarkosha. And Hrishikana, Isha, he who commands over all the Hrishikas. That is what basically Govinda means, Hrishikesha means. So when you remember that, you have to remember the entire structure that Sankhya has provided. This is the reason why I said that Sankhya is the OG of all darshanas. So when we have the entire evolution structure in our mind, each time I'm consuming food, I remember that this is where everything is located. This is how everything is located. Then where do you find time to speak, chit chat, and everything by eating? So Indriya Nigraha automatically happens. If you are doing some special experiment in lab, then automatically you will be very cautious of. I'm also cautious of time. Okay. So when we are involved in an experiment, people say that he is in his zone. When we get into that zone, isn't that Indriya Nigraha? Appetite doesn't bother us, thirst doesn't bother us, phone calls doesn't bother us, screaming doesn't bother us, time doesn't bother us. And we are in the zone. So the more and more we get into that zone, without any external inputs. He got it. You should have been in humanities, bro. I tell you. You did not get it. Caffeine, narcotics. No getting into trance. We talk about Indriya Nigraha, and it is a natural process. Indriya Nigraha is a natural process. The more and more we focus on one thing, automatically our Indriyas will lose interest in their respective fields. They will want to contribute here. It all starts with food. So we see how our food system is arranged. So that gives us an idea.
Yeah, we can continue our dinner. I don't think not talking for this dinner is not mandatory. So this dinner we can continue our discussion. So because of lack of time, we will complete our discussion for the day. So the whole discussion can go on forever because all aspects of life in one or the other way has been depicted to elaborate on some more ideas. For example, if we read Mudra Rakshasa, there is a women warrior gang which was headed by someone called Shrunottara, who was a Greek warrior. Now that means that even we used to get warriors from other places. So, and then if you look at Mrichakatika, there is a Snataka. Snataka is just finished his education, who falls in love with a prostitute, and then he goes and put a what do you call Kanna? We call Kanna Hakaru. That is, he wants to break the house of Charudatta. Now for that he uses Yajñopavita, and then he says, Divo Brahmasutra, Ratra Brahmasutra. So he takes his Yajñopavita, and all varieties of life was there. So that is the main indication of Sahitya. Samskruta Sahitya can, contemplating on it can go on ever and ever. So for that it was just an introduction that we wanted to give from this talk, and I presume that was well depicted by Vishwanath sir. So we will conclude our discussion for the day. So we request Sangeet to give our some small token of thanks for Vishwanath.
This was truly homecoming for me because I was terribly missing the campus of VHU, and this looks almost similar to the VHU campus. So thank you very much for having me here. I forgot to mention all those things. The conclusion, very bad at that. So please forgive me for not following the protocol. But thank you very much for Samskruta Sahitya and all the office bearers or the people who make this Sangha tick. Thank you for inviting me and having me over here, and for giving me your valuable time, for being a wonderful audience, just for patiently sitting and listening to me non-stop for 100 minutes. Hats off to you. That goes on to show what kind of resilience you have to be a PhD scholar.
Thank you for the kind word. Couple of last words. So every day we are reading as of now Bhagavatam. So people who are in campus can join us for Bhagavatam reading in Sangeet's room. And then every Thursday morning from 8 to 9 we have started resuming our discussion on Raghumsha. Now I request all of you to join. And in this whole accord I request you to help us out with volunteering, and there are a lot of flux making that is happening. Tanu, Mana, Dhana, all Sahayas is needed. So we request all of you to help us out